The sun blazed high over the sleepy town's main street, its light bouncing off rows of parked motorcycles that looked like beasts resting after a long run. The distant growl of engines faded, replaced by the soft hum of summer wind cutting through the trees. Among the chrome and leather stood a man everyone avoided, a biker named Jack. Tattoos snaked down his arms, scars peeked from under his beard, and his eyes carried stories no one dared to ask about. He was the kind of man who seemed carved from stone, rough and silent, known more for his intimidating presence than his kindness. But fate has a strange way of revealing the softness hidden beneath the hardest shells. If you believe that even the toughest hearts can carry kindness, that second chances exist for everyone, pause for a moment and show some love. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread so we can keep spreading these real stories of hope and humanity. Jack had seen too much in life: violence, betrayal, and loss. He'd once been part of a notorious motorcycle club, but years of bad decisions and broken promises had driven him into solitude. His brothers still called him for rides, but Jack had grown quieter, tired of the chaos that once thrilled him. Every day he'd sit outside a small repair shop, helmet by his feet, watching life pass by. It was his way of keeping distance from a world he no longer trusted, and maybe from himself, too. One bright afternoon, as he sat cleaning the dust off his helmet, a soft, trembling voice broke his thoughts. "Excuse me, mister." He looked up to see a little girl, no older than 7, standing a few feet away. Her blonde hair was tied neatly with a pink clip, and she held a folded piece of paper in her small hands. Jack frowned, confused. Kids never came near him. They usually hid behind their mothers when he walked past. But this girl stood there, brave and gentle, her eyes full of something he hadn't seen in years, innocence and hope. She stepped closer and whispered, "My mom's sick." Her words were simple but heavy, carrying a weight that made Jack forget how to breathe for a second. She unfolded the paper. It was a prescription note from a clinic. Jack read the name of the medicine, and though he didn't understand the medical terms, he could see the cost scrawled on the side. It wasn't much for most people, but the trembling of her tiny fingers told him that, for her, it was everything. She looked up and said, "Mom said it's okay if I can't get it today. She'll feel better tomorrow." But there was a sadness in her tone that shattered him. Jack had lost his mother young. He knew that helplessness, that quiet terror of seeing someone you love fading while you can't do anything. His mind raced. He checked his pockets, nothing but a few coins and a half-empty pack of cigarettes. The leather vest on his back, the boots on his feet, the bike beside him, all symbols of a past that had taken more than it gave. And yet, he felt something stir inside him, a call to do one good thing, just one, to make the world right for someone, even for a moment. Jack stood up slowly, towering over the girl, but his eyes had softened. He looked at the helmet resting beside him, shiny, black, with faded red flames painted along its sides. It wasn't just any helmet. It had been with him through everything: the cross-country rides, the brotherhood, the fights, the memories of the only life he knew. But as he looked at the little girl, he realized the helmet was just a shell, a piece of metal and paint. Her mother's life, her smile, was worth far more. He walked to the pawn shop down the street. The owner, used to seeing bikers trade gear for quick cash, didn't ask questions. Jack placed his helmet on the counter, fingers lingering on its surface. "How much?" he asked quietly. The man examined it, then shrugged. "It's used, but clean. I can give you 80. Jack nodded. "Make it quick." The exchange was over in less than a minute, but as Jack stepped outside, the weight on his chest felt heavier than before. He returned to where the girl waited, sitting on the curb, holding her paper tightly. Jack handed her a small bag with the medicine inside. She looked up, eyes wide. "You got it," she whispered, disbelief trembling in her voice. Jack smiled faintly and nodded. "Your mom's gonna be okay, kiddo. Just make sure she takes it." She hugged the bag to her chest and whispered, "Thank you." Then she ran off down the street, her little shoes tapping against the pavement until she disappeared into the distance. Jack stood there for a long while, staring after her. The sun was starting to dip, painting the world in gold. Behind him, his biker friends had been watching the whole time, rough men with beards, tattoos, and heavy boots. They didn't say anything at first. But one of them, an old friend named Rick, finally broke the silence. "You sold your helmet?" Jack nodded. Kid needed it more than I did. Rick's lips twitched into a rare smile. Guess there's still a little light in that dark heart of yours. The days that followed were quiet. Jack went back to his routine, fixing bikes, smoking in silence, but something had changed. He felt lighter, though he couldn't explain why. Sometimes he caught himself looking down the street, half expecting to see the little girl again. Then one morning, as he was wiping grease off his hands, a small figure appeared by the garage door. It was her, holding a paper bag and smiling shyly. "Mom told me to give you this," she said. Inside the bag was a brand new helmet, smaller and simpler than the one he'd sold, but wrapped carefully in newspaper. There was also a note, "Thank you for saving my life. Emily's mom." Jack stared at the note, eyes blurring for a moment. He'd forgotten what it felt like to be thanked. He crouched down to the girl's level and said softly, "Tell your mom she didn't owe me anything." The girl smiled. She said she wanted to. Then she turned and skipped away, the same pink clip catching sunlight as she went. That night, for the first time in years, Jack took his bike out for a long ride. The wind roared in his ears, the road stretched endlessly ahead, and he felt something he hadn't felt in a long, long time, peace. He realized that redemption doesn't always come in grand gestures or second chances carved in stone. Sometimes, it comes quietly, in a moment when you decide to help someone without expecting anything back. And somewhere between the rise and fall of the road, Jack whispered to himself, "Maybe there's still good left in me." The stars above flickered as if nodding in agreement. If this story touched your heart, if you believe that kindness can change even the hardest souls, then take a moment, like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Let's remind the world that compassion still exists, even in the unlikeliest places. Speech balloon special request, tell us in the comments, what's the kindest thing someone ever did for you, or that you did for a stranger? As dawn broke the next morning, the small town saw something new, a tough old biker riding through the streets, not with anger or regret, but with purpose. And somewhere in a little house nearby, a girl woke up to see her mother smiling again. The world didn't change that day, but for two hearts, it became a little brighter. And Daniel felt something lift from his chest, a weight that had been there for years, shifting just enough to remind him that moving forward didn't require forgetting, only choosing to keep walking. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep bringing emotional, inspiring stories to the world. Before we close this story, please comment below, kindness matters. Your words might inspire someone else today. And so, on a snowy morning inside a small cafe, while strangers watched with softened hearts, a single dad held the hand of a burn-scarred girl, not out of obligation or pity, but out of understanding, compassion, and the belief that no child should ever feel unworthy of being seen. Sometimes, the most beautiful healing begins with the simplest touch,